What's up, everybody? It is Matt from ElectricAllWheel, and today we have the AIPAS F3 folding e-bike, full suspension, 20x3 fat tire. This has an 1100 watt peak motor controller combination. It is stated 1500, but it is 1100 per the controller, which is a 20 amp, and we are going to be adding a second battery. We are going to use the ElectricAllWheel 20 amp universal dual battery kit. We're going to try and mount on the crossbar with an e-bike battery adapter. We will leave a link for all the products, including the bike. We're going to look at some HEB Allscape 20x3 fat tires in the future, but we will leave a link for those in the description, and also the ElectricAllWheel plug and play thumb throttle kit with grips that will work on the AIPAS lineup. So be on the lookout for that as well. We are hoping to more than double our range with this edition, and we're going to make it look good. One concern is going to be overlap here. We will actually strap the battery down to help control that. It is just the most overall and secure way to get this done without having to put any extraneous objects in there. After that, if you are going to be riding all of this distance, I implore you, check out the bike case bump stop suspension seat post coupled with the Cloud9 seat. I know it seems a little redundant with the suspension of the rear on the F3, but trust me, it is worth it. It makes your bike feel like a Cadillac, and the Cloud9 seat adds another element of suspension and comfort. So we'll leave links for those as well in the description. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out e-bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event, and go for a ride with your friends. Let's get to it. Okay, for this, I'm gonna probably just go ahead and release this because the wiring comes down inside the frame and it's just best accessed if I can get through. And so I'm gonna take this top bolt out and then just roll it over and so I can get in there. From there, I'm probably going to cut the motor cable loose. There it is. It's a screw on one side and then a bolt on the other. Like so. And then this screws right into it on the end. So I'm just gonna pull this out just like so. What I'm really looking at is I have previously been in this and snipped these wires, but these will be tied off zip tie into a frame mount connection for a zip tie and your cable routing, and you'll need to clip that zip tie so you can get these loose. This will loosen your motor cable, and then you will be able to undo it on the back side. So I'm just going to do that and then undo the motor cable. Now that just gave me much needed slack to actually get some movement on the controller, and this main cable is the one dominant short link that you have to deal with. This is already looking like a really tight fit. All right, we are going to switch gears for spacing concerns, and we are going to do an external install. You guys be careful with these JST 5 pins in here. These are really fragile and you just don't want to ruin them And they do come loose, and this controller is crammed in there like a big time. So we want to take care of that. We're going to take our two XT60 extension cables that we get out of the kit, and we are going to run a male and then a female end. So one of each of the two ends for two cables, and we're just going to get it through the housing and out. All right, that's one. Just make sure the opposite end is in there for the next one. So for these two cables now, we're going to go ahead and take loose our battery plate from the controller. We'll just unplug this. We'll have our battery plate loose. I don't recommend doing that, but I'm just doing it to hold it. So from there, we have a battery connection, and we're going to take that and plug it in to one of the cables, and then we have our controller, and then we're going to plug that into the other. Now we've just basically extended the line from the battery to the controller if we were to simply plug these in. That means the bike is live. This is the Bike Case Beetle Case. It is bike case. It is the Beetle Case cell phone bag, and you use this across a lot of installs. And typically it will come with two straps, a big long one here and then a shorter one here, or actually three straps, and it has one down at the end. The second is here. To make this work, I'm going to try and install right here on the body. And so I will run the cables out and around to the same fold side of the bike, and then get those two cables up on top here. And then we're gonna put the balancer in this bag. I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a little insurance with this tape so I can make sure that these things don't pull loose. It's a very crowded controller housing, and I don't want to go back in. All right, now I'm going to put everything in the bottom, and I'm just going to roll the controller over and in, just like how it came out. Now there's plenty of slack to be retrieved for these, but you need to make sure that you're not pulling the cable loose when you bring these in to tighten. So just make sure you're not pulling the cable out of the plug when you do this. Now that those are in, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all of these are fed through the bottom, and that way I can get the plate cover on. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Now you'll notice there's a lot of tension here. It's because these wires on the backside, which is really the way it came, are getting compressed. Just make sure that your JST connections aren't getting smashed, and that everything is going to be okay inside when you press that down. Make sure that when you do get it out, you have enough slack for your motor cable connection. So that works. Perfect. Now we have our two cables. So what I'm going to do now, go ahead and close that up. My plan is to run the cables out on the left-hand side because this is the fold side for the bike. So keep that in mind. I'm going to run them out this way, and they will go up here. So right now I am going to take my bike case, Beetle case cell phone bag, and I've got my big strap right down the middle, just one, and then I'm going to apply it here. Use this strap as a strap for the cables that I'm installing. There's that. Now this bag also has a smaller strap which works perfect right here on the end, and then we're going to strap underneath the lever for the seat post so it's free from obstruction. Perfect. Okay, we're here. We have our cables loose. Now we can take and make our connection with our balancer. Just go ahead and plug in what works, because at this point you can't mess it up. You've already made your connections. So you know one is the battery and another is the controller. I'll just switch. So one battery to the inside, there we go. That's just for my OCD. But this is the 20 amp balancer, and you know that the controller inside is 20 amps. And then this connection will be for the new battery that's gonna go here. So we're gonna take this and we're just gonna go ahead drop it in the cell phone bag and zip it up. The thing I like about this is it's got the two zippers here that allow you to close tight on this, and then you can actually zip tie these in or do something to restrain them more if you feel like it's necessary. So here we are right before we're getting ready to put the suspension back. You can see that my battery cables are up and over this. They're on the inside between the frame and the main cable harness. And then they're wrapped behind this Velcro strap. This bag is attached with this strap and then this strap right here. So now we're going to lift the back end and then get this shock in place into the link suspension. Perfect. On to the fun part. Now you're going to need this battery adapter, and we are going to place it like this. We'll leave a link for that. It's going to be from Amazon. We may in the future have it, but we'll leave a link nonetheless so you can get it. We're going to need this so we can scoot the battery up and have the head up here and then use up this space on the bike. Perfect. Just going to go ahead and take my 48 volt battery and get the battery mount off of it. You'll also need a couple of M5 screws, pan heads, so that when it goes on the plate, you can actually run the battery over the plate itself. So you'll need these style pan head screws. We'll leave a link for those as well. You might get them from your local Home Depot, Lowe's, or Ace Hardware. So I ran this all the way down. Screws are at the top of the adjustment slots. I'm going to take these two out. And then I'm going to put my cable side on the side with the cables of the balancer bag or the cell phone bag. So for my mount, I'm going to have to push this down a little bit further. What was natural fit here wasn't right. I'm going to push this, use a little bit of the cushion of this bag, and then just get it down into the next set of holes here so that I can get my battery on. And that basically puts the mount at the fold of the bike, the bottom end of the mount. Which is just what we want anyway. So loosen this so it's not bending. Now let's put our battery on. There we go. She's in. From here, you may consider zip tying into, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get to my balancer setup, pull that out of there. I've got it. I'm just going to plug the second battery in. Plug that back into the bag, and then I'm just going to take this extra slack and run it in there as well from the main battery. Once that's in there, I'm just going to zip her all up. You may put a zip tie right here just to keep it all looking nice and clean, but I'm going to show you guys something else while we're here. Now, we do sell the DX2, and it is dual input, dual output. Now, the AIPAS F3 is not a dual motor bike. However, we do sell a USB adapter that does plug in to the DX2. So instead of the 3 connections, you have 4 here, and you utilize one of them for an output for your adapter. And we'll just go ahead and plug that in. And the way this works is typically you see the 20 amp and it has the 3 connections. We're just going to unplug all 3 of those. And now we're going to take them, and the same concept is true here. You'll see in, out, out, in. And so the ends are the batteries. We'll just plug that in. We know this is one of them. So we just plug that in, and then we'll plug this in, and that will be out to the controller. And now we have it set up. But what we have done is added 2 USBs, and the outputs is 3 amps max on this adapter. So it helps if you have USB connections and you need to charge with any of your devices, and your 1 amp current on the cable harness of the bike isn't doing it for you. So now you have internal power to the bike's batteries, the dual batteries as it is, and then you can actually tuck all of this inside the bag and zip it up. So your connection for your phone, etc., can be in here as well. Now we do have one last bit of business that we would like to address, and this is going to be your call. This seems pretty stable, but adding the bike case e-bike straps just adds that last layer of protection that you really want. It's actually 2 straps put together, and this is a full strap here, and then another one that has been added to create length. They do sell in pairs, and we'll leave links for these in the description below. In the description of the video. How about that? Now I'm going to wrap underneath the cable so I don't like cinch those to the bike, and then I'm going to go ahead and strap the battery down. This just makes it nice and secure, and you get that lasting feel like you know it's not going to come loose and it's really tight onto the bike. All right, so we know that I switched this off. Let's go ahead and check second battery power. And I can see that the display is coming on. I'm going to go ahead and put it in PAS 1. And there we are. And you know it's off because I can pull out the key. So now I'm going to turn the battery off, and we see that that killed the bike. Now I'm going to turn the key on. All right, the key is on. This battery is off, you can see right there. So let's see about turning the bike back on, and it does come on. Now this is from the on position of the main battery key. Put it in path 1. There we go, beautiful. And now one last thing, I'm going to show you a USB power device or charge so that you can see that the USB adapter works. So I'm going to take one of my ends out, plug that into my charging cable, and then plug that in here, and then you can see it's charging. And there we go, and then there's enough room here for the battery to slide off as well, so that's perfect as well. Well, there you have it. We have successfully installed a second 48-volt battery on this AIPAS F3 folding 1,100 watt peak 20x3 fat tire, full suspension electric bike. Now, I know a lot of you stuck around for some range calculations, so let's get to it. The second battery is 15 amp hours plus the original factory 12.8. We're going to go 15 plus 12.8 equals 27.8. We're going to multiply that by 48 and you get 1,334.4 watt hours. We're going to divide that by 25. Now 25 is the Mica toll constant, which says it's 25 watt hours per mile ridden at 20 miles an hour throttle only. And you get 53.376 miles on this AIPAS F3 folding e-bike. Now that is 20 miles an hour full throttle the whole time for this class 2 e-bike, and it's looking at 53 miles. Now that's going to vary based on your rider weight, physical conditions, hills, etc. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, if you're interested in a tire swap, we'll leave a link for some Allscape tires in the description below, as well as links for all of the products that you see here, including the bike. So if you're so inclined to get an AIPAS F3, we would appreciate your support by utilizing the links in the video description. Also keep in mind, you don't have to get the DX2. The DX2 was used to add the USB devices and demonstrate to you an option that is available that does the dual battery setup as well. The DX2 is dual input, dual output. We use one of the outputs to accessorize the bike with the USB adapter. It provides 2 USB connections at a 3 amp max, which is really, really nice for those of you who actually need to charge your items with your bike. And that taps into the power of both of the batteries or the factory battery system if you unplug one of them. Don't worry, you can use the 20 amp kit and you don't need to buy the USB adapter or the DX2. It will work just fine. We're going to leave links for the bike case, Beetle case, cell phone bag, our recommended battery list. You do not have to get this battery. You can install on the back. Just make sure that your cabling is out of the way and it's not going to get crushed by the suspension, and that you've got enough length. We do have some extension cables as well. You will need to do an external install, so you'll need to figure that out. You may run your dual cables to a rear basket or a bag of some sort and then use that there. If you're going to be riding 53 miles, I do implore you, check out the bike case suspension seat posts with the Cloud9 seat. It is like riding on a Cadillac. It is so great. And if you're not a fan of half grip twists, we do have the plug and play grip kit and thumb throttle from ElectricAllWheel that works with electric e-bikes as well as AIPAS. All that being said, we'll also leave some of the links for the bike case battery straps in the description below. This adds that extra last piece of secure feel for the battery so it's not wobbly at all. And we'll also leave the Amazon link for the adapter to get it onto the frame mount. I think that's it. We're going to go take this thing for a ride. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out e-bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event, and go for a ride with your friends. We'll talk to you next time. All right, well, there you have it. This does work pretty well. You can see that it just sits in line. There's no obstruction. In actuality, it will fold as well, even with the battery attached and the balance. We are pretty proud of the way this has come together.